I'm here to review the new movie Song Sung Blue. I feel a bit underdressed. Bear with me. Aha! This is a leftover wig from the Song Sung Blue costume department. God, which way does it go? I don't know. Let's go with that. If Hugh Jackman's watching, this is my tribute to you and your splendid hairpiece in the movie. I can't see a thing. This is going really badly wrong. I've had this much hair since I was 12. In a Song Sung Blue, starring Kate Hudson and Hugh Jackman. Do you know what? I'm committed to this. I'm going for it right the way through. We're in a world of this new world of movie reviews now, where the next film review you read is as likely to have been written by an artificial intelligence machine, not with this on, than it has a human. And so I always think when it comes to a film review, it pays to be wary of who's sharing their opinions. Never has that been more true, right? I wouldn't trust me on a review of Song Sung Blue. Films, by their very nature, are subjective. Someone's view is inevitably swayed to some degree by what they bring to a film, by what they're wearing on their head, the circumstances around which they watch the movie. This is actually relevant to how I encountered Song Sung Blue. Let me give you an example. It took me 3 runs to accept and appreciate that Mission Impossible Fallout was brilliant. It's a brilliant film. But the reason I struggled with it, and it took me a while, is we've got to go here. After my mum passed, it was the first big film I tried to cover, and my head was in no state. And so I'm watching it, but my head's fried, and I tried to write about it, and I couldn't. And I'd rather admit the failing up front. And my dad passed a few weeks ago. The first film I go in to watch to cover for inverted commas work is Zootopia 2, Zootropolis 2. I've not reviewed it because my head all over the place. I've seen the film twice. I like the film. I wouldn't trust my review of it. So it's into that like febrile ecosystem, really, that I present my view of Craig Brewer's new film, Song Sung Blue. And there's a zillion reasons why you shouldn't trust me. I'm already on the naughty list for a start where Craig Brewer is concerned. You're supposed to love Hustle and Flow, terrific film. Dolomite's my name, brilliant film as well. Most recently, he did Coming to America with Eddie Murphy. But remember his Footloose remake? I thought that was really solid. And I thought, no, sod it. I thought that was good. I didn't need a Footloose remake. I found it really enjoyable. See what I mean? Why trust me? Why? So Song Sung Blue is, first, it's what it's not. It's based sort of around the music of Neil Diamond, but it is not a biopic of Neil Diamond. In fact, he's not in it. He's not a character in it. He's talked about a lot. There isn't one of those scenes where a few people sit around a studio. Why don't we press that button? Press that button. There might be a tune in that. Let's make a song. No, what it actually is, it's the story of a tribute act centered on Mike initially, aka Lightning, and Mike adores the music of Neil Diamond, as my parents did. Helpful, right? I grew up in a house surrounded by the music of Neil Diamond. This unreliable reviewer. Have I talked you out of this yet? I'm really trying. So Hugh Jackman as Mike is reluctant to sing Neil Diamond songs, and he works as a kind of tribute artist, and soon turns up with Kate Hudson's Claire, who will become Thunder and Lightning. Yeah, see where it's going. And so this basically unlocks something in both of them. They're 2 broken families who come together and they form, as most broken families do, check my notes, a Neil Diamond tribute show. And so, I'm sat watching this thinking, yeah, all right, I'm going with this. I'm finding this really enjoyable. We're about halfway through the film. I can't remember the last time I watched a film with so few plot obstacles in it. All very genial, this. And, right up until the point where it wasn't. So, I can't do spoilers. It's against the law to do spoilers. Short of to note that Song Sung Blue is based on a true story and a labour of love documentary from a guy called Greg Koss, Kohs, if you're searching him. And Greg Koss spent, 7-8 years making a documentary about these 2 people. Had trouble actually getting it released because he needed permission to get it screened from Neil Diamond to release the music. There's a whole story there. And for a while, he would only sell this documentary on DVD via mail order. In the run-up to the film being released, he's now put it on YouTube. You can search it. You can find it. But what that documentary shows is what you actually see in Song Sung Blue is true. And it's a really weird criticism, this, because this is a film based on a true story. But I'm sat there as the second half of the film takes hold, and there's no way that happens. No. And then, like, you discover that it did. So Craig Brewer didn't just direct this, he also penned the screenplay. And he's got a job on his hand, really, with the script to keep us on side, because the story has to work within the confines of what we see on a screen. You have to assume that we turn up to the cinema and we've got no idea what we're going to get, no foreknowledge. So it has to feel real and it has to hold water for us watching it. And it does, but it does push its luck a little bit. And I think that's worth noting. So the cast is led. I mean, it certainly helps that you get Hugh Jackman and you get Kate Hudson leaving it. Now, Hugh Jackman wears a hairpiece in this, and it's such a significant hairpiece. It's so wiggy, I gave it a name. It's called Bernie. This is Bernie's friend. Let's call him Albert. Let's go with that. But Hugh Jackman and Bernie are playing Mike. And I mean, I'm just believing in them, really. It's really, really good casting. Kate Hudson in particular is really terrific as well. And I'm just like, okay, so this is a couple who each have a daughter by a previous relationship, and this family comes together. And also, Brewer's really wise enough to, I mean, to cast the smaller roles really well. I mean, it took me about half an hour to realise I'm watching James Belushi there. James Belushi, whatever you want to call him, in the role of their manager. And Jim Belushi, I mean, I remember going to watch Canine. Do you remember Red Heat? You know? And here he is just submerging himself in a character actor role to the point where I didn't recognise him for a while. If we're playing 80s movie bingo as well, Short Circuit's Fisher Stevens, exactly the same as well. And Fisher Stevens has gone on to build a directorial career. Who's the fella doing the Buddy Holly impression there? And just like taking on a small role, but playing a bit of guitar. It's Michael Imperioli. And you go down the ensemble list, and this is really hurting my head. It gets sweaty, these things, don't they? You go down the ensemble list, and I'm just like, that. It's a really impressive cast. The standout, though, isn't Bernie, although Bernie, I have to say, puts in remarkable work. The standout for me is Ella Anderson. Now, she plays Claire's daughter in the film, Rachel. I'm not familiar with Ella Anderson. I've looked her up afterwards. I'm very aware she's enjoyed success on Nickelodeon and stuff like that. So, you know, youngsters who watch telly, that's me out, will likely be familiar with her. I wasn't. And hers is a really pivotal role in the narrative, particularly where the second half of the film goes. And I absolutely believed in her. I believed in her. I rooted for her. And she has to get through a lot of work with not an awful lot of screen time to do it. And she just struck me as the standout here. There's patience and there's nuance to her performance. I think she's really, really one to watch. And I look forward to seeing her other film work as she takes on more roles. Hopefully, casting agents are watching Song Sung Blue and just thinking, yes, get her in. Great. Avoid the superhero films. Yeah, they're dramatic roles here that I'm no snobbery there, but I'd love to see her in a few more dramatic roles and just kind of see, you know, just as she continues to stretch. I thought she was great. I was really impressed by the film, by Song Sung Blue, and I went in with some wariness of what I thought it would be. And I do think you have to approach film as like Christmas Eve. There's no point going and go, oh, it's going to be rubbish. I'll have to record a video on this with a silly wig on afterwards. No point doing that. You've got to go in hoping that it's going to be good. But I got that. But also I got I got a slightly different mix. That Craig Brewer, who I spoke to after I watched the film, confirmed that there was a bit of the commitments in this, that what he's dug into is a real working class story at heart. The tagline for the commitments is they had absolutely nothing and they were willing to risk it all. I love that tagline. I think it really applies here as well. These are people without resource, without money. They just really care about what they're doing. You get a tiny bit of Sing Street, a bit of the grit of 8 Mile, but with a slightly different tone to them all. That certainly in the first half, the tone is quite light. Then some stuff happens where it just alters it a little bit. And then, I mean, interspersing it all, if Brewer's running out at any point, which he's not, he can just bring in a Neil Diamond tune as well and pull out something from the songbook, and he embraces the musical side of it. too. What's interesting is there's a version of this where, certainly a version of a Neil Diamond film, where you can pull out like 15, 20 songs and just run them through the movie. There's your soundtrack album. Instead, what he does is he zeroes in on just a small number and actually repeats them. He goes back to them. But that's endemic of what Song Sung Blue isn't. It's not a biopic and it's not a jukebox musical. This is a story of working class people who like pretending to be famous singers and trying to build a unified family across, against a whole bunch of challenges. It's not immediately obvious when the film's set. There is a newspaper headline that confirms a year a bit later on, but also there's a real passage of time. It only struck me afterwards. It's just like, this might have run over several years that we're watching here. But at heart, it's the challenges faced by this family. It's the wood paneling in their house. There's no attempt to, recreate a house here on a massive soundstage and make it luxurious. It's tight, it's compact. You can see the edges of the set. And it has an impact. And they're trying to make ends meet. They're trying to hold together this instant family, and they're trying to keep this love of music as well. I was really taken with it. I surprised myself by how I was taken with it. And I had to check because I knew I was going to have to put some words out on this. I didn't know about this. And so I watched it again. And I watched it with someone who wasn't taken with it and just thought it was a bit silly. But also, I watched... silly's the wrong word. They just weren't taken with it. I watched it. Since then, I've watched the Bruce Springsteen biopic, which is also unconventional, actually, which also makes some slightly different decisions to the one that I expect. But that's a bit closer to what I was expecting when I saw they're doing this film, Song Sung Blue. I went back and I dug out the documentary and I had a look through the documentary, and Brewer's quite loyal to it. And to his credit, he's been very keen to give Greg Koss credit. He's credited on Song Sung Blue, and rightly so. And I mean, bluntly, I can put this in as fancy words as you like, but it got me. It got me in part because I was ready for a film like this, and it played very close to home, very close to my heart. But also, I think it's really well done. So I commend the film to you. 4 stars, but with the obvious caveat, and I know it's a get out of jail card, but I'm trying to be honest with you. The obvious caveat: I might not have the slightest idea what I'm talking about, but I was really impressed by the film. I was really impressed by Hugh Jackman. I thought Bernie has got a flourishing career ahead of him. Kate Hudson, great. I went and watched Almost Famous again a few weeks ago as well. Just great. And Ella Anderson, a huge, huge round of applause. It's really good. It's really good. It's a real surprise. It's coming out in the UK. I think it's New Year's Day. In the US over the Christmas period. Quite the bomb as well. And based on a true story, but you might just have to double check that it is. I know I did, but I'm glad I went back and did it. Really enjoyed. I'm keeping the wig.